Dating as a single mom isn't just about finding someone, it's about finding the right someone who deserves a place in your life and your children's lives. But how do you spot character, set healthy boundaries, and make sure you're not settling? Today, I'm joined by D. Tanner, a lay minister, author of Great Expectations Today, who's been married for almost 50 years. D brings decades of wisdom, real life insight, and powerful tools for understanding who truly is safe and trustworthy in relationships. Whether you're just starting to date again or you're looking for guidance on how to choose better relationships, this episode will give you clarity and confidence you need to find love without losing yourself. Hey friends, dating as a single mom comes with its own challenges, and knowing who to trust is everything. So with that said, I'd like to welcome my guest, Danel Tanner. He is a lay minister, relationship expert, and author of The Great Expectations Today. Welcome.
Hello. Hey, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate you.
So can we back up a little bit? Give me a little bit of your history. You've been married for 50 years?
Close to it. Very close.
I mean, that comes with some wisdom. Let me just I mean, I've been married almost 28. Well, 25 years, 28 years together. So 25 years, we just hit that mark in July, which I'm praying that we're alive enough to be that hit the 50 mark. We both got married kind of late in life. So hopefully we hit that 50.
Right.
But we're on that trajectory. But 50 years comes with a lot of wisdom. What have you learned about building a lasting relationship in that length of time? I mean, you've got to have some sort of wisdom you could share with us.
Well, I think, like it talks about in the Bible, how you treat your wife, and then of course there's a lot of grace that we talk about in the church, but there's truth and grace, and then there's love, and I think more than anything, it's just humor. When you're kind of over a 50-year period. We've pretty much grown up together, so there's a lot of changes in life. You have kids, the kids leave, then you have grandkids, and the grandkids leave. So just a lot of things to think about as you're maturing together.
That's so true. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess you could say it's weird because my husband and I look back and we're like, dang, we were so young.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy. And now we're all gray and, hair's growing where it shouldn't grow. And, our kids are all older, like 32. We got 32, 24, and a 15-year-old. So we kind of spaced them out a little bit. So we give ourselves, we always said, we did it 8 years apart so that we always had a babysitter.
Yeah.
But that's not true. But I mean, it sounds good, So why did you write Great Expectations Today?
Well, I wrote it a couple years ago on Amazon. It's under the name D. Tanner, initial D and then Tanner.
D. Tanner.
But Great Expectations Today. And I wrote it because I was a lay minister at my church, and I was starting these. I started these community groups, basically small Bible study groups of singles, and singles were they were all 30 to 40 co-ed, and mostly single moms. And I would say something, they go, oh, and they would laugh. And they go, you got to put that in a book. And they kept saying that, stuff like that. And I finally kind of put quite a bit of that stuff in a book that says, basically the message is we all have expectations of life, but sometimes the media and the marketplace, as the marketing messages, the social messages that we see, build up those expectations. So when we do anything, we go anywhere, we've got really, really high expectations. And I talk about, you might live in a more real world with a lot more grace if you were able to walk into any situation and kind of lower your expectations,
Right.
Because I would hear, they would tell me about someone they met, or a date they went on, or a party they went to, some social event. And they were like, I left, I was all dressed up and, I did this, and I was just really, really looking forward to having such a great time. And I got there and, oh my gosh, it was terrible.
It's
And
like they have champagne appetite and a beer budget,
there you
right?
go. Well, that and the fact that, I also, would talk to some of the guys and just say, I lost it. Traffic was terrible. I'm like, okay, well, you were going from here to downtown. That's a 40-minute drive. Yeah, well, I left late. And I go, well, that doesn't mean that because you left late, you can now make it a 20-minute drive. It's still a 40-minute drive. And so it's just, how overall, we're all hyped up with, Tony Robbins. If you're selling, he's always saying, hey, I believe in yourself, and they hype you up. And then in life, in the reality of the day is that you're let down with the event or by the person or by these people. And hey, where did you get the expectations to start with? I mean, where was it? I usually say, where was God in that? So,
and it depends on what your criteria
yeah,
is.
exactly.
Okay, so like you were saying Tony Robbins, and it just brought to mind Shallow Hal. Have you ever seen that movie? Okay, so the girl had a nubbin or whatever, the foot, but she was really cute. And he's like, oh no, I don't do the extra toe thing. You know what
That's
I mean?
great.
And then,
Yeah.
and then he, has like a tail, they call it a nubbin or whatever on the back of his back. And it's
Right.
like, dude, like reflect some, look at yourself a little bit.
Yes.
And, you might not be cat's meow to the other person, but if both of you are there and it's not about the looks, it's about each other's, time and expressions and laughing and good, when you feel comfortable and you can do the snort when you laugh so hard, or you know what I mean, when you feel that comfortable, hold on to that one.
Yeah. My wife and I went to one of our high school reunions just a few years ago, and we're looking around, and without the name, we were laughing because we said without the name tags, most people we wouldn't have known.
It looked different, huh? Right.
And you're expecting, in your mind, you've got this person that you remember from high school, and then you see him at the party, of 40 or 45, 50-year reunion, whatever, not quite that much, but anyway, they could have lost hair, they've gained some weight, they've, whatever. They could have been through some health circumstances that caused them to look different, but whatever, they're not the same person anymore.
And also, the funny thing is I just did a podcast with somebody and they were talking about your experiences through life.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you start to have a perception on certain things, and how you perceive yourself, is reflected outwardly. And so it could change you. Like you could have in high school had all this confidence, and then something happened in high school or right after, and then, your confidence went down. And sometimes people wear that on the outside. So what was a spark or a light when you were younger, maybe they're not carrying that with them. And it's like, that girl, Jessica, that's me, I was a talkative, hyperactive, crazy one. And if I was to show up at my high school reunion and not be those things, they're like, what's wrong with her? oh my God. Like, because I'm calm and I'm an adult now, like, I'm not acting crazy like I used to.
Right.
But yes, like, a lot of people, they do look outwardly first when they meet somebody. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. But if you're not willing to look deeper into the person, then what does that say about yourself too?
Right. You have to consider, like, we all change as we age, our looks change, and we have to consider, okay, who is this person? What is their heart? What is their soul? As they say, when we're reading the Bible, they talk about Jesus Christ, and he's basically looking at the inner soul. Like when he met the woman at the well, and she'd been married, she had like 5 husbands, but he said,
try again. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah. And I've known people like that, that have had some issues like that, but still, where's your heart today? What does it say about you? And if we can't look through that, then we've got our own problems. So
that's so true. So how do you build healthy expectations in dating?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
Teach us something.
Yeah. I teach a course at my church, and I love the course because it's called Safe People. And if you can look it up, the guy that wrote it, there are two doctors that are basically Christian psychologists, and Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And if you've got Right Now Media, they do that. You can do the free course online, but I do it with a group of 30 to 40 single people. It's mostly moms, usually about 13 or 14 women and a couple of guys, maybe. The guys typically they don't care. They're not the safe people, but no.
I asked you before, when we met before, I asked you before, like, do the guys go there to meet single women? But you said no, that you signed like you have like a.
We have a confidentiality agreement and kind of an opt-out. And I tell them the opt-out agreement, I call it that because as you're opting out, that this is not a dating site. This is, we're here to talk about our problems and issues and things like that. But
right.
Some of the women in my group, they're all single moms, and they've been married before, or they've had other men before, and so they're always talking about the problems that they've had. And so, a safe person, first off, our group, we look inside and see if we're a safe person. Because like I've got a friend that's been married 4 or 5 times, and he would always call me, and he's a good friend, and we talk a lot. And when he would say, "And she's just crazy," and I said, "Okay, this is the 4th one. So who is the common denominator in all these relationships? In other words, who is a person that's had all the issues or continues to have issues?" So the first thing is looking internally to see if you're a safe person, and once you get past that point, then looking and a safe person is someone that basically shows you that they're delivering the fruit of Christ. In other words, the good stuff, the grace, the truth. Truth doesn't work without grace, and grace doesn't work without truth. So it has to be the grace and the truth, the fruits of life, the better things, honesty, a sincerity, and what does that take to get to know that person? Basically, it talks in the Bible about judging someone's character and getting wisdom. And we need to do that. But to do that, we have to spend time with them. That may be, you may know that on the first date. If the person across from you sits there talking about themselves the whole time, that's really not providing the fruit of the Spirit. That's really not sharing.
But on the first date, you got to give somebody a little bit of grace, because they're going to be not themselves in a way only because they're nervous.
That's exactly right.
They're trying to put their best foot. I haven't been single in years, but what I'm saying, thank God, thank you, Lord. But because I don't know how he put up with me, I swear.
No, you're 100% correct. But once you get past that first point, if you give it the second date, then you have to decide how much time you're going to spend with this person. And while you're spending that time with them, you have to use your wisdom and prayer to discern what kind of person they are. Like, how do they treat other drivers in traffic? How do they treat the wait staff at the restaurant? How do they have friends? Do they have stability in their family? Or, and you can go through those things, and over time, because I had a lot of people, especially women in my group, that they were lonely and they really wanted someone, and they jumped it kind of too soon. And,
they just not accepted. Not compromise. What is the word?
Well, it would be compromise.
It's a compromise, but it's more of like settling.
Yes,
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Like my buddies would always say, "Wow, Daryl, your wife's beautiful. You really married up." Well, a guy likes to hear that, but on the other hand, the woman may not like. Well, I don't know, but it's just how long do you want to be with that person? Like, I met some women that have stayed with someone because they've settled for that person over time, but it still may not be a safe person. Like, I'll give you for instance, I have a good friend, and she kept going out with a friend from high school, and she's our age. Let's just say mid-60s, and she's the friend would always put her down or give her direction on, oh, this is where your silverware goes. Oh, you want to order that? That's not what you don't want to order that. That'll upset your stomach. Or you don't want to do this, or you don't say it that way. You say it this way. Constantly correcting her. So
Right.
when she left that meeting or that date with a friend, that luncheon or whatever, she wouldn't feel good. She'd feel down about herself. So to me, that's not, I mean, when you leave someone like a friend, you should feel good. Hey, we had a great time, had a great meeting. We shared, we were honest with each other. They helped me out with something, pointed this out or that out, but they were nice about it. And
Sometimes you got to be conscious too about because sometimes because I got a lot going on and I'm like, oh, this is happening. This is going on. But I have to consciously stop myself. And then I always say, so how was your doctor's appointment? Or how did this, how was this? And what are you going to do about that? And like involve myself with what's going on with them, because I generally, obviously I want to know, but also I have to stop myself from not talking about myself because I'm every day. That's what I'm doing is I'm doing my things, I'm doing my family stuff, And so, but if I'm calling a friend, I'm calling because I want to know about what's going on with them as well. So sometimes you just gotta
absolutely
step back and like understand that too, that like it happens with yourself too. I get what you're saying though. Somebody that's always saying like, don't, don't, you shouldn't. I mean, it's a downer.
Well, yeah, and what they're doing, they've taken on the parental role in your relationship, but hey, on the other hand, you let them. So you have to. It's a boundary. The Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend also teach a course called Boundaries, which is a very good course, especially if you're dealing with parents that are kind of helicopter mom or whatever.
That's me.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great course for that, along with dating. But I love the Safe People course because it talks about really building a lasting, if it's not a lasting relationship, I mean, if it's not a lasting like dating relationship, then it can be a lasting friendship if it's done right. And that takes the time and the wisdom and the discernment to say, do I like this person and are they good for me? Do I feel good? And, do they add value? And another thing is you'll find that really good friends, they love to listen to you because they care about you. They want to know, they really truly want to know how you're doing. But if you get in a conversation and it's a one-way conversation and they never ask you or they never call you, you always have to call them and you always have to say, and you have to, when you call them, you have to listen to about their life and they're not sharing. That's not a great relationship either. So you have to really decide, okay, is this where I want to be in my life now with these types of relationships? And the dating or we'll say the mating relationship is the most critical because, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about being of the same yoke. In other words, same beliefs, same religion, same thought pattern. Because, I had a woman come in, believe it or not, with her son to talk to me about counseling. And she thought her son's girlfriend should move in with him. She thought they should get married. She was doing all the talking and the son was doing no talking. And I said, well, let's ask him, what do you think? And he goes, well,
What my mom said. No.
yeah, exactly. And he goes, I believe in God and she doesn't. And I said, that is a huge bridge to cross. Either you've got to talk to her more or and I talked to him about being of the same yoke. And I said, it could be a real quick marriage if a quick relationship if you got together and you couldn't get together, and you find out later on. Like I was raised Baptist and my wife was raised Catholic. But when we got married, we decided we were going to become Methodists to raise our children. And we did that. And then many years later, we became non-denominational after the kids were grown and gone. And so it didn't matter then. But I'm just saying, we became of the same yoke, the same belief system. We knew we believed in God, but religion is based on man's idea of what God should be. It's not, God didn't start off saying, hey, Daryl, you're going to be Baptist, or hey, honey, you're going to be Catholic. That's man stuff. Put that out of the way and just say, okay, do you believe in God or not? And then where do we go from there? How close is that divide? How close can we make that divide?
And like, if the other person doesn't believe in God and you do, I mean, like, is that a
Right.
deal breaker? You gotta, I mean, I think when you're setting goals for yourself and you are raising kids and you're baptizing them in the church, like my kids were baptized Catholic, and although my husband was a Lutheran, but we were on board with baptizing him in the Catholic Church. I too was raised Catholic, and but we are now non-denominational. But we do discuss religion in our house a lot. But my husband's one of those people that he works on Sunday. He's like, as soon as I retire, Jessica, every Sunday we'll go. I promise. Because I'm like, I want you to go to church with me. But we're like, but what I'm saying is, like, I think it's a deal breaker for me. It would have been trying to raise kids with somebody who doesn't believe in the same things you do, and
well,
I don't know.
It's like a dating list. If you go onto I've never been on a dating site, but
Me neither.
I'm sure you click boxes to say, are you this, are you that, and then they compare profiles because they're trying to get you
close to what you like.
Close, in your.
Although opposites do attract people,
they do. But like, I would equate believing in God or not the same thing as, are you a smoker or not a smoker?
Right?
Are you a cat person? Are you a cat person or not a cat person?
Right.
Those are some big things. But because I'm allergic to cats. But I mean, and I've always had asthma, so I've never smoked. And so that would be those would be. Either. Yeah, and those would be no-brainers for me. Yeah. Again, with the belief in God or not. And then when you say, again, you're just trying to close that divide, and in your mind, you've got to think, I want to spend more time with this person.
Can I ask you a question? So, okay, so I know this isn't part of probably in your book, and I don't talk politics on this isn't about politics, but what about people that are now, because my husband and I, we're opposite when we got married. We're both the same political views now, but when we were married, and I was cool with him being what he was, and he was cool with me being because back then, 28 years ago, nobody cared. But now, if you're a Republican, the Democrats are like, no bueno, and vice versa. Like they don't, they don't want the opposite. So do you run into that where you're like, that's got to, really look at that too? Because what happens if, one's doing a march and the other one is like on the other side,
Right. Well, I think what I've often believed, and this me personally, and I've shared this with my groups, is that you really, I mean, we're here on earth. We were, born and raised according to the Bible to spread the word of God. So we need to believe in something, and that moral line is what the Bible teaches. And all I say is go back. When I'm counseling with people, I always say, where's God in that? You got mad. Okay. Well, Jesus got mad at how they turned the temple around and he whipped people, and he really got mad. Anger is not a bad thing, but how do you manage that? And where's it right? Where's that right? And so the same thing with your beliefs. If you are a Christian and you believe in God, then vote how you believe in your beliefs in the Bible. And sometimes it's easier said than done. But again, it's what do you believe? So in truth,
I mean, would you say that would be a deal breaker for most nowadays, where they're like, they just don't even look at somebody who's not in the same political views as them?
It can be. It definitely can be. Some people are very, very, very. I mean, I have 31 first cousins in my family, and some of them, if you say anything, I mean, most of the time, the best thing to do with family is not even talk politics. But,
exactly.
But some of them are very aggressive, one way or the other, and it kind of depends on where you grow up. Like if you grew up, and this is not a universal thing. I'm just saying. Typically, if you grew up in the teaching world, education world, that was backed by the teachers union. You always had stability, and typically that was a democratic world, but then if you grew up as a hunter and a fisherman, and certain areas of the country that was Republican. But now those lines have blurred a lot because the parties have changed a lot. And it's again like when I talk to people about church hurt, I have to talk about religion and how religion was all based on man's view. And so was politics. I mean, because
Right.
the political party has changed. John F. Kennedy was probably more Republican today than he was Democrat,
I agree.
than he is Democrat today.
Right,
But
right, right.
back then, he was a Democrat party, and I loved what he said, and I loved what he did. But today, it's more changed to. It seems to have more to do with, okay, what are you doing with your body? It's kind of based the Democratic view has
I'm
been,
just saying that, like, I'll give you a lifeline.
yeah,
I'll just because I know this can go down a rabbit hole when we talk about all this
yeah,
because it's just a crazy thing. But when I watch the news, I always hear, oh, these dating sites, they for just Republicans only or just Democrats only, or they
I
have
didn't
like,
know that. I didn't know
or
that.
yeah, like, and there are Democrats out there that are like, I will never date a Republican and la 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 la, and it's like, I wish that wasn't the thing, but it
Yeah.
feels like that is a thing now. And that, I just thought I'd mention it. I didn't really care. It's not a big thing, but I just thought I heard so much about it
Well, hey,
recently.
I have friends that have been married for a long time, and one votes one way and one votes the other, and they know it, and they talk about it, and they go, "Yeah, we just went and voted, and we canceled each other out." And they say that right away, and they laugh, and so I can hear, it'd be funny to have an ear in their household to hear with the banter that goes on between, it was like
Like
back
you
in.
said, don't bring it to the Thanksgiving table. Don't bring it
Yeah,
to family
right.
functions because it's just. I know I got off on a tangent here, but I just
Yeah.
thought I'd mention that one thing. So let me see if I can reel this back in with a question.
Okay.
Okay, so so what are some red flags that single moms, because we're talking about people with kids, right?
Yeah.
These are
Yeah.
these are moms with children, and you got to watch out for who you're
Mhm.
bringing around your kid.
Exactly.
Do you one, I want to know what are the red flags that they need to look for, but what do you educate them on, like when to bring someone around their kids, or when would you suggest that it would be appropriate for them to
Yeah.
include the children in a date or an event or something with that person?
Well, you know, I've always felt that the moms are moms for a reason is because they care and love on their kids more than anything. And I think the biggest thing is uh, uh, n- for them to feel right and comfortable before that person comes to meet their kids. And
Like,
like,
does there have to be love there first, or like, do you have to be, I'm in love with this person, so I'm okay with him now meeting my kids, or do you want to also see how they interact with your children? Like, can you really love someone that doesn't love your kids?
well, that's exactly right. I mean, and you need to find out, okay, why are they? I mean, you need to spend time enough with them to find out why they're single. Did they ever have kids? Do they like kids? Have they even ever had a pet? Because they might not even know about responsibility. There's so many 30s
Right.
and 40s today that I see that don't have no idea about what does being responsible mean. They don't, so
They
you
just
get
got out
to.
of mom's basement. If that.
Exactly. Thank you. And I mean, if someone, if you're very much in love with someone, they've still more than anything, and this, the moms know this. They've got to love your kids. Now, my one red flag would be, number one: do they have any issues with anger or bad habits? Like, do they spend much time gambling or drinking or
Or they're like
vaping?
smoking. I know
Yeah,
exactly.
any of that stuff. So first off,
Because
you eliminate.
those are selfish things that they're doing. Like, that would
Yes,
also show how selfish of a person they are.
yes, yes, yes. Because, and then the second thing would be is, okay, uh, I know about this person, but do I really know about them? And so I like to see the sign that, or the green flag that where the other party is saying, "Boy, I'd sure love to meet your kids sometime." I love
Yeah.
kids, and showing interest. Hey, well, how are your kids doing? And remember their names and remember what they do, and then let the mom, kind of string it along until they feel comfortable. But then they can also these days pretty much do a safety check. Like I couldn't work in the
Like
church
Facebook them, like
well, not only
Facebook's.
Facebook them, but even go to a PI with a name and an
I was just gonna
address.
ask
And
you a
if
question. Do you ever get people that like do like a background check?
if I had kids, I would want that before I invited them
Yeah.
into my house because
Like, do
I
they
would
have
want to
domestic
know
violence on their background?
this guy ever had any child molestation issues or child
Right.
abuse
Or have
issues
they,
or
did they ever abused animals? I mean, like,
yeah, yeah,
that's the thing, dude. And
yeah.
people, they hit their dog and get in trouble. I
Hmm.
want to know if if they're going to hit their pet, someone they're supposed to love, they're
Hmm.
going to, if they might do that with a
Yeah,
person too, or
yeah,
if they've had assault charges or any of that type of stuff.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
totally would do that too.
yeah.
I'm like you.
I would. Well, I mean, I would just. You just never know these days. You never know. Like some men just want a home to be in, and the love of a
They'll do
woman.
whatever or say whatever to make that
Yes,
happen. Okay,
yes.
so what are some green flags that indicate potential partners is a trustworthy and emotionally healthy person?
Well,
So,
the
so the things that we've
stability yeah, stability in anything,
like a
whether it's
job.
a job or
Uh-huh.
a former relationship.
Mhm.
How are they with their parents? How do they speak to people? How do they speak to their parents? How do they, love on people? Do they spend time not only on themselves but other projects and other people? Are they
Right, like are they
volunteer?
helping out on Thanksgiving, like feeding the
Yes.
poor? Are they, helping the community? Are they
Yeah.
a coach for a little league team, or just
Yes.
all the things that would, the warm and fuzzy stuff?
Big
Like,
brother, big sister, that kind of
yeah.
stuff. Plenty
Yeah.
these
How do
days.
they handle people with disability? I mean, that's another thing too. Think about a mom with kids with a disability, how much harder it is to find somebody that wants to, put up with all that comes with that. Like, and I know because I have children with disability. Thank
Yeah.
God my husband will never leave me because he does not a cook. So, um, no, I'm just teasing.
You're the stabilizer.
Yeah. We the other thing you were talking about earlier is laughter. I think that was the main thing that keeps us to get grounded. I mean, we both are very funny, and I mean, I'm not being narcissistic or anything, but we're pretty funny people. He's super funny, keeps me laughing every day. He'll say something that I crack up about, and I think that is like the glue. I really do. And the other thing, and I'll tell this to everybody out there who is married and struggles: if you don't compromise, you'll never get through life. I mean, that's with anybody, but especially with your spouse. So,
Yeah, I mean, pride is the biggest barrier, I think, to ruining a marriage or preventing a more successful marriage. If you can drop the pride, you'll always compromise. So, and basically these days, what I've seen from the 2030s and 40s, I've seen a lot of narcissistic men, which means that they really underneath the hood of that car, they're only thinking about themselves.
yeah, you should
So
idolize me because I'm so great. you
right.
know,
Although they hide it by some really good storytelling. But again, if you don't see over time a good pattern of long-term friendships, long-term relationships, how I treat my mom and my dad, how I talk about them, and the people around me, if it's always somebody else's fault, not mine. I mean, the best thing I like to hear is where somebody says, "Yeah, he said that, and he said he really screwed up," and I said, "Well, that's good because you're getting some honesty," or he was doing that, and he basically Thursdays is his day where he volunteers at the church. That shows kind of a history. I've been to this church for 10 years, and I do this, and this. One thing or the other. I mean, it doesn't mean, just because I teach a course on safe people at the church doesn't mean that the church is full of safe people.
Right.
I mean, broken people go to church. That's why they go to church.
Right.
And so don't get me wrong there. I don't want to
I
say
know
that.
there's a lot of broken people at church.
Yes,
I
yes, they're
mean,
there for
there's some
healing.
criminals, but you know what? They're there for a reason, and God is forgiving.
Right. But they're there. So
Right there.
that's the start, you know?
So you have to set standards and not be too picky, but then you also have to be guarded, especially because if
Right.
you're a mom with kids, so you have to
I
do
mean,
that. You
yeah.
know,
I mean, I've had divorced friends of mine say, "I'm out there on the dating scene. Daryl, you know anybody? How about? But I'd like to date someone without kids." And that, you know, when you hear that, then it tells you that there are men out there that really don't. They maybe they've already raised a family if they're older, and they don't want to raise another family, uh, or they just don't like kids. They don't know what responsibility is.
that's true. And
You know.
some men don't want to have an extra set of children if they have young kids.
Yes.
They want to focus on their own children
Yes.
and not have to pay and or be emotionally supportive to someone else's children. You know, I can
Yes.
see that could be an issue too.
Yeah.
God, it's really hard to be single out there. I don't know if I'd ever
Oh,
want to be.
it would be
God,
really
please don't
tough.
ever leave me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's just crazy. So, okay, so let's say you recently had a divorce or you broke up in a relationship and you haven't been dating for a while. Like, what are some conversation starters like for these people? Like, how do you engage? Would the women ask out the men now, or do
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I
How
mean,
do you get that? How do you get it going?
well, I've heard definitely women in my group have talked about that they met somebody through like ran into them at Starbucks or some church or someplace, and they were talking, and over time they've got to know them, and they finally said, you know, hey, we have to think about going out sometime, and just make it a general conversation starter. But you know, there's definitely a bridge that needs to be, you know, where two people need to meet of similar lifestyles, similar things. I mean, if you don't want to um, marry an alcoholic, you probably don't want to meet someone at a bar,
True.
quite frankly. uh, but again, I'm not saying the church is the safest place, but you know, there's also environments where you see someone and you ask someone, and then you find out, you know, things like that. But
Don't church, a lot of churches have like mixers too. Like
yes,
they'll
yeah,
have like a
the larger
social
churches
event.
do. Like in
Yeah.
Houston, it's Second Baptist does, and then I live in San Antonio. We have a community Bible church, and several of the big churches around here, Cornerstone, they have mixers for singles.
And you know what churches love? So those of you out there that, you know, you're religious, but you're not
Yeah,
religious about being religious.
fervent,
You know,
fervent.
like me, like my husband, we're like, you know,
Yeah.
we work on Sunday. So you can join a church or go to the church. You don't have to be a member to go to these events and just get like, they'll give you text messages on events that are coming.
Yeah.
You can look at their newsletter or their websites, and you know, there
Oh,
are ways to go and meet people. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't know where to go." I don't know what I would do if I had to go to an app to find somebody, because I could take a mean selfie that looks great, but then, you know, you meet me and I'm not as thin as I look online. I tell you that right now. So, I mean, the same thing with men, you know, you just don't know what you're going to get from a picture. So meeting
well,
them.
yeah. There's a lot of. I've had a lot of friends that met their mate online, and but you know, there's always that first date where you go and you're meeting. Now, I was going to say again, lining similarities. So if you like pickleball, there's always a singles pickleball. If you're an alumni of a certain college, every big city, even smaller cities, have alumni gatherings.
Oh,
You can
that's so
go,
true.
yeah,
It's a
and
good one.
but the sports thing for like pickleball or golf or tennis, or like I have several ladies that play tennis, and they love to play tennis, and they do mixers and things like that. So
Do you
there's,
think
you
that
know,
there's a hookup culture out there where there's a lack of commitment right now? Or
yes.
do you think that they're like women are really looking and the men aren't, or is it vice versa? What do you think?
Well, from what I'm being told with friends that have no kids, is the hookup culture is they're still doing that quite a bit. There's several apps that just sponsor, hey, if you're in the neighborhood, I'd like to, you know, get together, and there are apps for
I
that.
know that I have a gay friend, and I know that he
Uh,
does that.
yeah,
They in the
yeah,
gay culture, they will meet somebody online at 12 o'clock, and
uh-huh.
then meet somebody online at 5:30. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that is a lot more prevalent than uh, the heterosexual world where men and women, because it's not always safe for women to hook up. They have to be really,
Especially with children.
yeah. Well, and that's what I said. I said single, no kids. Now, if you've got kids, sometimes the mothers will have the kids one week and the other partner has them the other week. So that opens the door for that, but it's still not completely safe.
You know what? We used to think that not safety was wearing a condom, and now it's not like that anymore. It's got to be safe, like for the people you're meeting. There's some crazy people out
Yes,
there,
yes,
and you have to put your safety, your pocketbook, your everything. You got to be guarded in some ways, because if you're meeting people online, I just would feel like it's an
yeah.
unsafe,
I mean, it's for us, it's that way because we've been married so long. But I mean,
right?
I'm speaking
But I
of
guess
you
you're
and I.
desperate.
Right, but there are sites that offer the full profile of what that person is looking for. I'm talking not for hooking up, for dating, and I've had several good friends that have had kids that were in their 30s or 40s that met really long-term relationships on like Match.com or a couple of different apps, and they were
You got to also, like you said, it comes down to the expectations. If
right.
you're a 65-year-old man and you're looking for a 35-year-old,
Right.
you got to be, unless somebody's got a daddy complex, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing.
Yes. Well, not only expectation, then reality is, okay, is this person just looking to hook up for a meal? She says she wants to date, but I'm 65 and she's 45. Let's get together, have a margarita. Well, she has 8 margaritas and then she takes an Uber home, and you're like, okay,
Like, damn,
well,
she can drink. No.
yeah, right, right. Okay, I know she's an alcoholic. I'll mark her off the list. But
Right.
I'm just
Right, right,
saying,
right.
I mean, you have to figure those things out, and we have wisdom and discernment to judge and the character of other people, and we need to use that. And moms sometimes with kids, they don't have a lot of choices, and I feel for them. My
Do
my
they get
daughter,
discouraged? You feel like single moms they feel discouraged about love in general? Like they're never going to find the guy that's going to truly love them for them, or they're, like they're just wanting, like I know a lot of people that are later in life, maybe they're looking for just companionship,
mhm.
but the women, they want that fantasy fairy tale, he's goo goo for me, type of
Yeah,
thing.
and that's the high expectation. That's kind of where
True.
I talk about in my book that it's not there's a comedian that did a big gig on he's not your shining knight. I'm not your shining knight. I don't have everything you're looking for. You need to know that.
Yeah.
Disarmor me. I'm going to show you what's under the armor.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
I was just going to say, personally, I love my husband, but he definitely, I knew that he wasn't going to be that syrupy,
Yeah,
yeah, I knew it. And I compromised my wants as a young girl to be swept off my feet by a knight in shining armor, to somebody that I cared about, that we're best friends, and that I couldn't live without, basically. You know what I mean? And I said, I put that in the back of my mind, like, I don't need that. Even though I did, he eventually caught on that, you do give flowers on the birthday,
yeah,
you do give flowers on your
yeah,
anniversary,
yeah.
and he learned over time. But I mean, but you have to compromise, and I wanted someone funny, and I wanted a best friend, and that's what he wanted, and then we wanted other things in the future, and we worked on that, and it's just been I've been very lucky, and there's not a lot of people that can stay married nowadays. I mean, it just seems like, do we even know what the divorce rate is? I mean, has it gotten
Uh,
any better?
No, it's still a little higher than it was. Well, during COVID, it got really high. It's actually higher for older people, but we teach
Like
them
they get
another.
sick of the crap and they're like, I'm done washing
Right,
your
right. It's
underwear.
been long enough. I can only take this for so long, which is
Right.
really the wrong thing to do because in your older years you need more help because you've got a lot of different ailments. So I mean, it's good.
Yes. And this
Like
is where the
I
fun friendship part comes into hand, comes in. And
exactly,
it's less
exactly.
about the lust and all that, that you are yearning for when you're younger. And it's more about like, can you please go get me this as you get up? And
Right,
like
right.
it's the hand in hand that comes with being married too. I think that being married is I love being married. I love being married to my husband, and I wish that for everybody out there. So where can they find your book?
On Amazon, you can. I think it's all the proceeds of the book. By the way, go to the Church Benevolence Fund for single moms. So it's
And if
great.
you're a church out there, grab his book, and you guys should do a seminar on his book at your church, because I'm sure it's packed full of things that'll help your congregation. Am I right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it talks about and gives the resources for safe people it's on Amazon. It's Great Expectations Today by D. Tanner, and so would appreciate it if you'd like to pick it up. It'd be great.
I really do appreciate you coming on. I will put your information and a link to your book on my website. If you go to jesssaying.net and go to podcast, find D. Tanner or Daryl Tanner, and click into it, you'll be able to get a link to his book. Actually, I'm saying all this, but it's really not true because my website's still not done yet. But when it gets done, by the time this episode airs, Bible, I swear, if he does not have it done, I'm going to do it myself. But when it's done, all my guests are going to you're going to find all my guests online at jesssaying.net. You can email me at jesssaying@att.net. And visit all my social medias. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm probably everywhere else. I'm on YouTube. And I have a lot of little shorts out there on my YouTube channel. You'll find I have my high school yearbook that I did a video yearbook. You guys can go and just learn a little bit about me, and let's build our community. Thank you, Mr. Tanner, Mr. D. Tanner, for coming to my show today. I really appreciate it. I think there's some single moms out there that are going to legit get some great information, and maybe some,
Thank you, Jessica.
Maybe like spark a little bit, because a lot of people are like, I'm never going to date again. I'm not doing it. I'm never going to get married again. But really, companionship is, I think, like you said, as you grow older, it's right. Funner to be with somebody than without. Just saying.
Yep,
just saying. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. You guys have a great night. All right. Bye-bye.
Low, talking about the days we used to know. VCR tapes and dial-up tones, raising kids living with achy bones. Leather jackets and big hair days, now it's carpool lines and PTA. Neon dreams turn into schoolyard fights, but our hearts glow in retro nights. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Parenting now with a nod to the past. The retro love we know will last. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. A nod to the past, the retro love we know will last. We dance to the beats of the boombox sound. Now bedtime stories echo all around. But deep inside we're the mixtape kings, still fighting life with arcade dreams. A pizza slice, telling tales with a side of advice, laughing at the way it used to be.